Hi, this is Maggie from Crafts the Charm. Thank you for stopping by my channel. This is one of my favorite scarves. I knit it a few years ago, and it's possible you've even seen me wear it in one of my intros for another video. It's a very skinny scarf, and this pattern is called a wasp's nest pattern, and you can see I knit it two different ways. The reason it's so skinny is because I started out knitting it as a swatch, just playing around with the pattern, and then I ended up liking it, so I kept going. And because I am a small person, it actually was a really good fit. But I did decide to knit another one after, and this one I knit to a more traditional length. And for this one, you can see I used a couple of different colors. Now this is, I think, the old cream color from the Dollar Tree, and the new cream color isn't quite the same. I don't like it quite as much. But they also have an off-white color called Aran, which you could use if you wanted to use Dollar Tree yarn. And then this is the taupe color, and this I think is the gray tweed, or maybe I think it's dark gray tweed or gray tweed. And you can see I used the sort of the smaller pattern where I knit with the taupe, and I used the larger pattern where I knit with the off-white color. But the other day I was getting dressed and I wore this scarf, but I really wished that I had a dark gray scarf, but knit the same way. So that's what we're going to do today.
Alright, now for the scarf, we are going to use the Dollar Tree yarn in the color charcoal tweed. And I used less than 2 skeins of yarn for my scarf. Now the original scarf I knit on 5.5mm needles. This scarf I knit on 5mm needles. And to start, you're going to cast on 20 stitches. Now, you might want to make a wider scarf than I make here. In that case, what you're going to want to do is cast on a multiple of 4. That way, you'll be able to do a complete wasp's nest pattern across your scarf. So, I used the long tail cast on here. There's no particular reason I used this cast on, it's just the cast on method I felt like using. I would recommend the long tail cast on, or the knit cast on, or another cast on method that's going to give you a strong edge. I wouldn't use the single loop cast on method here. And once you've cast on your 20 stitches, what you're going to do is knit 2 rows to start. We're going to put a garter stitch border around the entire scarf, and those 2 rows of knit stitches will give us a 2-row garter's edge border. Then around the edges, I'm also going to have a garter edge. So we're always going to start and finish with knitting 2 on each row. For the smaller wasp's nest pattern that I have at the edges of the scarf, that's a repetition of 4 rows. So here's that first set of 4 rows. So again, we will knit 2 for that garter edge. And then you're going to take a cable needle and pull the next stitch off your needle and put it to the back of the work, knit the next stitch, then knit the next stitch off your cabling needle. Then take that cabling needle, take the next stitch, take it off your needle, and bring it to the front of the work, knit the next stitch, and then knit the stitch off the cabling needle. Repeat that until you have 2 stitches left. And knit those 2 stitches. Now going back, we're just going to knit 2 stitches, purl 16, knit 2 stitches. Or if you decided to make a wider scarf, just purl until you have 2 stitches left and knit those last 2 stitches. Now the next row, you're going to knit 2, and then you're going to take the next stitch off of your needle with your cabling needle and bring it to front. knit the next stitch off of your needle, knit the next stitch off of your cabling needle, and then take your cabling needle, take the next stitch off of your needle and put it to back, knit the next stitch off of your needle, and then knit the next stitch off of your cabling needle, and continue that way until you have 2 stitches left. And then knit those 2 stitches. Now the final row, you're going to knit 2 stitches, purl 16, or purl until you have 2 stitches left, and knit the last 2 stitches. So those 4 rows you're going to repeat 4 more times for a total of 20 rows, or 5 sets of those 4 rows. That's the narrower wasp nest pattern. Now for the majority of the scarf, you're going to repeat 8 rows, and those are going to give you the taller wasp nest pattern. You're going to repeat those 8 rows as many times as you want to get the length of scarf that you want. Now this time, for the charcoal colored scarf, I did 30 repeats of the 8 rows. In the original scarf, the off-white scarf, I did 38 repeats, but I felt that scarf was a little bit too long, so I didn't repeat quite as many times for the charcoal scarf. So these longer wasp's nests, you're going to, for the first row, knit 2, then you're going to take the next stitch off with your cabling needle, put it to the back, knit the next stitch, knit the stitch off the cabling needle, take the next stitch off of your needle with the cabling needle, put it to the front, knit the next stitch, knit the stitch off your cabling needle, repeat that pattern all the way to the end until you have 2 stitches left, and then knit those last 2 stitches. Now on the next row, you're going to knit 2, purl 16, or purl until you have 2 left, knit 2. Then the next row, you're going to just knit the whole way across. And then you're going to knit 2, purl 16, or purl until you have 2 left, and knit 2. That's 4. Now we have 4 more. For the next row, you're going to knit 2, then you're going to remove the next stitch using your cabling needle and bring it to the front of your work, knit 1, and then knit that stitch off the cabling needle. Use your cabling needle to remove the next stitch, put it to the back of your work, knit 1, knit off the cabling needle. Repeat that pattern until you have 2 stitches left, then knit those last 2 stitches. Now the next 3 rows are the same as they were for the first set of 4. You're going to knit 2, purl 16, or until you have 2 left, knit 2. Then knit all of your stitches. Then knit 2, purl 16, or until you have 2 left, and knit 2 stitches. So you're going to repeat those 8 rows until you have the length you want, remembering that you are going to do the narrower wasp nest pattern at the end. Again, I did 30 of those repeats, but with my other scarf, I did 38. So you should just periodically put the scarf on and decide how long you want it to be. Now with one skein, I got about 30 inches of length, and you can see I have just a little bit of yarn left over here, so I'm just going to start the new skein right at the beginning of a new row. That way I can weave in the ends in that garter edging. And so what I'm going to do is simply knit that last bit of yarn along with the start of the new skein for those first 2 knit stitches of the row. And this happens to be a row in the pattern, which is an entire row of knitting. So then I'm going to continue knitting all the way across with the new yarn, and then I'm going to turn around, come back, knit 2 stitches, purl 16, and then the last two are those sort of double loops on the needle, which were from knitting the two pieces of yarn together. So I'm just careful to make sure I pick up both of those pieces of the loop when I'm knitting those last two stitches. Once you're satisfied with that length, you're just going to go back and do the same 20 rows that we did at the beginning with the narrower wasp nest pattern. So wasp nest beginning with the cabling needle to the back, knit cabling needle to the front, knit, repeat, purl, and then wasp nest cabling needle to the front, knit cabling needle to the back, knit, repeat, and then purl a row. And you're going to continue doing those 4 rows 5 times total. Then you can knit another row. I'm not sure if I remembered to knit another row here. I'm going to show myself knitting that full pattern of 4 rows for these last 20 rows of the scarf, and then we'll go to binding off. Now to bind off, you're going to knit 2 stitches, and then take your left needle and use it to pull the further stitch over the stitch that's nearer the tip of the needle and off of the needle, and then knit another stitch, slide the needle under the further stitch, pull it over the closer stitch and off the needle, and continue until the end. At the very end, you'll have 1 stitch left on your needle. Slide that off, snip your yarn, and then pull the yarn through the loop. Now I then did a little bit of weaving in of the ends, and I wove those in along the garter border by going, basically you go up and over the little loops, and when you come back down you come diagonally so that you end up going through loops that you've gone through before. And I just wove in the ends a few times and then trimmed them. And you can pull them a little bit tight and trim them so that they sort of slip back under the stitching when you release. The final step was to block the work, and my way of blocking this was to iron it. So I sprayed it with some water from a spray bottle, and then I just put a paper towel over it. You can use a pressing cloth if you have one, and ironed over it, and you adjust it with your fingers to get it as straight as you can while you do that. That made the yarn a little bit softer, and it made the scarf a lot more comfortable to wear. So that's my little scarf project, and here is the final scarf. I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy crafting!